Now, somebody in the group page, they asked me to they actually asked me to go over cross-ups, like dealing with cross-ups. I mean, he wasn't really clear on what kind of cross-ups he was talking about. I already did a urien coverage, just so you know, Steve. My urien tutorial, my urien coverage is on my YouTube channel. Let me get it for you. My Yun coverage is on there. I did it so far. I did a coverage on Ken, Yun, Urien. It's not my Yun coverage isn't on Twitch. It's on YouTube. I wouldn't know the urien unblockables for every character. I'm not a urien main. There's plenty of videos on YouTube for it, but you know, you can find that anywhere. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like threads on Shoryuken about it. But you know, if you can watch this urien coverage and you know, try to see what I'm trying to say, then you know, you can figure out that you won't really need urien unblockables. And Yun coverage. So that link I posted in the chat is the urien coverage. The Yun one is Yun coverage. This next link that I'm gonna post is the Yun one. But yeah, so this person on the group page, he asked me to go over cross-ups. Most cross-ups aren't really, you know, it depends on the characters that you're playing. Like, it's basically the matchup. So for example, like if Ken was to be playing against like Q or something, then it would be much more difficult to cross him up. Whereas if he was playing Ken Mirror, simply because of the character height. So it really depends on like who you're using like in the match. So for example, Makoto has a cross up with her forward. Akuma has a cross up with his forward, but it's like a little weird because, you know, the hitbox isn't really like, it isn't really covering the entire back portion of him when he does his jump forward. So it's not really a complete cross up in certain situations. So which is why, like as I said before, it depends on the character. So for example, for all purposes, I'll go with Ken, and I don't know why I picked Shinyuken, but so one of the characters that are very easy to cross over would probably be, I would say Elena, because she has one of the smallest hitboxes. It's very easy to cross her over. You know, you can be like from this distance and cross her over, or you can simply be like a little bit outside this range and still cross her over. So like I said, it really depends on the character, because if they have a, you know, like a tall hitbox, then you know, it'll be much easier to cross them up. So I mean, that's just the simple cross-ups. Like, I mean, that's just like cross-ups in general with every character. So that, I mean, that's, but what I'm pretty sure what really matters is the cross-ups like on wake up. So for example, like after super with Ken, in a Ken mirror, you know, there's certain things that you can do. So for example, after a low forward super, some people would do a super jump to try and cross them up, or some people would try to do just a walk up and normal jump. But aside from that, you know, it's the reason like these cross-ups work is that it's just how you know, what position you are in terms of like the stage. So if you're like, it also depends on like the character's like jump arc. So if they have a jump arc like Ken, you'll see that, you know, he jumps and it's less than mid-screen. So if he was to do a super from here, and I don't have super, no, he wouldn't cross up from here. Now it's the same thing where if they're standing too, and I do a jump forward, it's gonna cross up as well. So like I said, it all depends on the jump arc, because, you know, it all depends on the jump arc and how early you press the jump forward. But basically, I mean, this game is really accurate in terms of like the hitboxes and stuff. So if you see like a character that's like, it's not like Street Fighter 4 with like 8 on or something, where if he was to jump over and try to crush you up, then, you know, it would look so freaking ambiguous that it's like really hard to block. I mean, most of the time that happens in this game, that would be like on like a hard knockdown, like right here. It would be difficult to see. But with normal cross-ups like this, it's not really that hard to see. I mean, since you're technically supposed to buffer a parry and then block afterwards, you really don't have to worry about anything else, like in terms of like, you know, which way to block or which way to parry or something like that. Because you can see that like I'm gonna do a jump forward with Ken, and I'm gonna parry and then block, and you'll see that, you know, I either get the parry or I get a block. So, you know, whereas if I do it a little earlier, I'll get the parry. Now, if you're walking towards it and you want to like go under, then that's another way to deal with it. I mean, you can dash under it, you can walk under, crouch, or you can just simply walk and just hold it. So you can just walk, hold it, and you'll block it. Now, I understand that some people don't like to deal with that situation where, you know, they have to deal with the mix-up afterwards. So one option that you have would be to do, you know, block and then jump back roundhouse. In this situation with Ken, at least. I mean, with other characters it might be different, but for the most part, with general uses, like if you want to avoid the mix-up, most of the time people would wait to do something, and then try and do something. So for example, they would like do a jump forward, wait a little bit, and then do strong fierce. So it also depends on how deep the forward connects. So if it like hits you like right here, it's gonna combo like that. So if it hits deep, then they're gonna be able to combo, and you're going to be forced to block. Whereas if they do it a little early and it crosses you up, you'll have enough time to escape. But another thing you can do, if you're really expecting the cross up, then say for example with Ken, if you know he's gonna cross you up with jump forward, you can parry the other way and then punish. That's interesting. So I mean, you can do that, or you can simply just dash under it. If you don't want to deal with the jump in mix up like itself, just learn to dash under jump ins, and you'll be good. Because most of the time when people do jump ins, anyways, they'll be susceptible to they won't be able to guard afterwards since they press the normal. You know, it's the concept of trip guard. So, you know, if they press a button, you'll be able to punish them afterwards with like low short or low forward or something. So it's one of those things that you can learn to deal with. You can, or even if you want to avoid it altogether, you can just meet them air to air, like buffer parry in the air. And just avoid the situation altogether. So that's just one way to deal with the cross-ups in terms of like jump forward or something. Some characters like, well, not some characters, actually most of the characters in the game, like the cross-ups are all similar. I mean, you'll be able to see them, so it won't really be a problem in terms of like knowing which way to block. So, but like I said before, if you learn the whole concept of parrying and then blocking, then you really won't have to worry about anything. Not to mention the fact that they jump, and you know, normally you would want to jump a parry a jump in. Excuse me. You know, if you're buffering a parry, then you'll get a block because you're holding the opposite way, so it'll be considered a block. Whereas if you're like right in front of them, you'll get the parry and you can punish. Whereas if you don't want to deal with it, just so that's just that part. Now, okay, so this is dealing with the cross-ups on wake up. These are just ambiguous setups that, I mean, they're really hard to figure out themselves. I mean, you know, that's why they're ambiguous. So, you know, that it really depends on how you see the character beforehand. So right here, after the super, you'll probably see Ken inch forward a little bit, and then you will block the other way. So that's just one way, I mean, to look at it. I mean, there's plenty of ways that you can like think of it. I mean, for example, in the Ken matchup, there's like a little glitch in the game, I guess. Well, it's like this thing in the game where it was an alpha, where if you do a cross up, like on wake up, then it'll land on the second side, like on the second player side. So for example, if I do low forward super, since I'm first player, it should always cross up. As you can see, it crossed up here. See, it crossed up again. So, I mean, sometimes it depends on where you are, like in terms of you know, first player or second player. So, you know, you can use that to your advantage. So basically, the whole concept with this Ken cross-up thing on the super jump, if you're first player and you're Ken and you do a low forward super, you're always going to cross up. But if you're second player and you do a super, you're always going to land on the same side that you did the super. Now, the only reason why you see the recorded Ken do a cross-up is because he inched, like I inched forward a little bit when I recorded it. So I inched forward a little bit, and then right there, that's where you see the cross-up. Now, if you just see me do a regular one, as you can see, he lands on the same side. So that's just one little thing with the Ken mirror that people can take advantage of if they want to do ambiguous cross-ups or something. Now there's other forms of cross-ups like on Wake Up when a character quick recovers. 90% of the time when a character quick recovers, they'll be able to be crossed up. But it all depends on how fast the character's dash is. So for example, with Ken, his dash is really fast. So for example, if he's playing against like Dudley and he knocks him down in the corner, he'll be able to cross him up easily, like that. But it all depends on when you do it, because you have to wait until he just starts to roll. So as soon as you start seeing him doing the wake up recovery animation, then that's when you can dash over him and right here, and it'll cross him up. Whereas if you wait a little bit, it doesn't work, because that little portion of where the character is recovering, I'm actually going to look at it right now on the frame data site, because they have I believe they have wake up animations, but I'm not really sure. So under miscellaneous, okay, here, the wake up right here. See, because you obviously don't see anything, but there should be. So right here, I guess where the character is like moving from right to left, that portion right there is where you can cross them up, because obviously because if you look at it normally, they're basically grounded right here, like in their prime position, and then they sort of roll like backwards. So that point where they're just recovering, they're vulnerable to cross up dashes. So basically, as you can see, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like mid-screen on this character, depending on who. Depending on the character he fights against. But like I said, it also depends on the dashes, because sometimes the dashes, if you actually look at the dash animations for these characters, you'll actually see that they're hovering a little bit when they dash. So this little dash right here, it's actually kind of like a little hop. So it's similar to a backdash with in Street Fighter 4, where they're considered in the air. So basically, when you do this in the corner, he hops over him, and obviously Dudley's recovering by rolling, so he's still grounded. So he just crosses over him, and then that's just the way. That's just the way. Like, it seems like he crosses him up, but the way this game works is really precise. So if you look at other characters, like I said, it depends on the character's dash. I mean, some characters can actually walk over them. So for example, in this matchup, when you knock down Alex, you can actually walk over him. and it'll cross them up. So not only does it depend on the like that. So not only does it depend on how fast your walk speed or how fast your dash speed is, it also depends on how fast the recovery is, like how fast the character is rolling. So I can walk up to him, and meanwhile he's rolling that way. And it also depends on their hitbox as well. So you'll notice that like the characters that have big hitboxes, like Alex, he completely rolls. Dudley, he rolls perfectly. And Oro, he rolls perfectly. So basically, if the character is a big character, you know, if they recover rather quickly, I would say. I mean, it works on necro. It works on. It should work on 12. I'm gonna check if it works on urien. Yeah, it works on him too. Now if I was to do it on the Shoto, it doesn't work. Because as you can see, he recovers rather quickly. So it's really difficult to cross him up. So even with the walk speed that Yin and Yang has. So now with the characters that have the quickest recovery, as you can see, he has too quick of a recovery to do anything. Now with the slowest recovery, but like I said, everything comes into play when it comes to crossing up a character. I mean, it comes down to like their hitbox as a character. It comes down to how fast they recover. And it comes down to the character that you're using in terms of like how they dash or like how fast their walk speed is. So for example, I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna try to dash, but it wouldn't really work. Or at least it shouldn't work. I haven't done this one in a while. As you can see, it doesn't work. But now if I was to use Ken, it should work, I believe. If memory serves me right, it should work. Must be thinking about the characters. So, anyways, there it is. So, like I said before, it depends on the character you use. It depends on how fast their walk speed is, how fast their dash speed is, and it also depends on the character that you're fighting against in terms of how fast their wake up is and what type of hitbox do they have as a character. So in a general view, the characters that can be dashed over are Alex, Sean in certain cases, Ibuki, Necro, Urien, Akuma sometimes Yun, sometimes Yang. I say sometimes because that's only for certain characters. Like Chun-Li, if she was to do she was to do like that. That's why I say in some cases Yun can get crossed up, and it should be the same thing with Yang, and if I remember correctly. But yeah, that's Yun and Yang. They can get crossed up sometimes. Remy can get crossed up. I believe Q can get crossed up. I'm not really sure. I think his hitbox is too big for him to be crossed up in the corner, but I'm pretty sure you can get crossed up other places. I would have to do more research. Chun-Li, of course. Makoto. I think so. I don't think she can. I don't think Makoto can. Ken, no, he can't. Hugo, in some cases he can. Elena, yes. Dudley, yes. Oro, yes. And Ryu, no. So these are the characters that can be crossed up with. You know, like I said before, it depends on the circumstances. So if you're like a character specialist with like Remy or like simply Ken, then you know it behooves you to know which characters you can dash over and which characters you can't. So for example, for the overall view with Ken, he can dash over Alex, he can dash over Ibuki sometimes, he can dash over Necro, he can dash over Urien. I'm not sure about Akuma. I don't think he can dash over Akuma. Yun and Yang, no. 12 sometimes. Makoto sometimes, I think. Chun-Li, yes. Q, no. Remy sometimes in certain cases. Ryu, no. Oro, no. Dudley, yes. Elena, yes. And Hugo, yes. So these are just the basic characters. That's pretty much all about the concept of cross-ups. I mean, there's jump-in cross-ups, there's dashing up cross-ups, there's walk-up cross-ups, there's simple ambiguous cross-ups that are really hard to look for. But it depends on the situation. It depends on the characters. So it's really difficult to say how to deal with them, because some characters are different than others. So every character has different options. But if you're looking for a way to deal with cross-ups, then I did the best I could. But if you give me like specifics, like as in like two characters, like two specific characters, then I can probably go over a better analysis, do a better analysis of it. But